This is the third part of my BMW door lock video, and it took me almost a year to come back to this project. I've been driving around without this with this door lock broken for about a year now, since I shot the first two parts of this video. And I finally figured out, I reordered the parts because I broke my first replacement kit. So basically I'm just going to go over the overview of what I talked about in the first two videos. Basically the door lock on these cars comprises of 4 parts. You have a bottom plate that goes to the bottom right here, a plate that goes in there. This is actually the component that breaks the most, this middle bit, and this goes in the middle. This actually tends to break the most, and on my car, my original middle plate is what broke, as you see there. So that mid plate usually sits in that bit there like that. Then you have the spring that goes on top of that. And the spring is what tends to give it the friction and the snap back of the key. Helps the key turn. So without the spring, the key doesn't really turn. It will just spin loosely in there. Without everything, the key would just spin loosely. Then you have this top bit here, which is the pin part. And that goes over everything. And then you have the top plate, which is this bit here. And it goes in there. And it looks like sort of like that. The orientation of how it looks in the lock is sort of like that. With from upper to lower. So I have my door lock here with one of the original keys that died. The battery in this key is dead. And just show you guys what these components look like when they break. These are my old components. Only the mid plate broke, but everything else seems to be okay, but they're just really old, as you see there. So I'm just gonna go through this and show you guys how I did it. So I'm just gonna do it without talking. So basically you want the key in there. I actually might do a bit of talking because it's a little easier for me to talk myself through this as I'm doing it in front of you. It might be a little loud. I'm in Brooklyn. So you want to start with the bottom plate here. And my car is a left-hand drive car in the US. If you have a right-hand drive car, your middle plate, actually, this mid bit is going to be a little different. Because this is what determines the right, either if you're using the right door or the left front door for your driver's door for the car. So we're going to put this plate in here. So you want to orientate the key so it's going to be lined up like this, sort of. Everything's going to be lined up like this, because at the end of this project you're going to have to insert this that way in, like that. So everything is going to be lined up this way. A lot of videos showing you how to do this don't mention that, so I'm going to just mention that here. So I'm going to slip this in here, and these all have grooves, so you can only put them in basically 1 or 2 ways, the correct way basically. We'll start by putting this guy in, and as you see there, that's going to line up sort of like that with this and that, and you want to seat that all the way in. You want to push down on the key. So I have no idea why it's so loud today. You want to push down the key, push up on the key, so everything's seated properly before you proceed. This bit here, it's an oval shape with 2 notches at the end, and you want it orientated to fit sort of lined up like that as well. But as you see there, these notches are actually going to go like that way. So the notches are going to go, use a screwdriver to show you guys. So these open notches on the oval is going to go sort of that direction, it looks like right now. So let's slip that in there and see if it fits. And I'm actually going to pull it out, back out. Make sure that's seated. And actually, what I'm gonna say here is the protrusions, these 2 towers right here, they're actually gonna line up this way. So they're gonna line up originally like that. The oval lines up like that way. The protrusions lines up like that way. I'll show you right now. I just realized that. And it only goes in one way because of the notches. So I'm gonna turn the key a little bit. so it gets seated in there. Make sure it's seated in there. So it's seated, so the key turning should turn that. You see there? So you could always double check what you're doing with this thing here. At the end of the project, this should slide like that. So if everything's seated properly, you could slide this in at any time. So even when the pin goes on top, the same way. Like the notches of this pin is gonna line up with that. So you could slide this in like that. So that's kind of what you want. You want everything to be lined up sort of like that way on the inside of the lock. So this is the hardest bit that actually stumped me last time I did this. It's the spring. The spring is really tricky to put on here, and I need probably 2 hands. I might have to go off camera if I don't get this the first time. And basically I can't even explain this part, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna compress the spring whilst putting the pin over everything. And the spring is sometimes really strong, especially if it's a new spring. And then you put the pin over that, and then you slide the disc at the end of it, and this disc is gonna hold everything down. So I'm actually gonna go off plate here because I need a bit more firm surface. Grab my napkin. So this is the hard bit here. So I'm gonna be compressing the spring and putting the pin sort of on top of it all. And if you have like a friend nearby, I mean, this will be a perfect time to ask someone for help. I don't have anyone nearby right now, so I'm gonna try to do it myself. And this is all candid. I'm not even like, I have no script for this, so it might take a minute. And once that goes in, you should be able to slip the disc. I don't even know if you guys could see me. So and that's that. That's exactly how you want it. The spring is a little hard with the spring, but you get it, and that's pretty much it. And I did something wrong because my key is just spinning, so my key should not be spinning like that. So I'm gonna actually pull it out and do it over again. But that's the idea of everything. Hey. So I'm gonna just use my pliers to pull it back out. And I believe the spring doesn't have an orientation. You can use it either up or down. I'm not sure. But the spring actually also have 2 hooks at the end, and you want the hooks to also line up like I showed you before, going that way. There's a video on YouTube actually, I think it's from another country, maybe Russia, where the guy does this in like under a minute and makes it look so easy, but it's not. It is not easy. the thing is too with these type of projects, you never know if you get it right until you put it literally on the car. So I don't know if you see there, but what I did wrong was the upper extension of the spring has to be caught on the edge of this right there. I'm not sure if you could see it in the video. I can't even let go of this, or it'll just go flying back out. But I'm gonna try to make it clear. So when you do put the spring in, make sure the upper notch is caught on the edge right there. You probably could see it right there. So I'm gonna push that down because you want that to be down. So I think when the key turns, that notch has to be, I'm not even sure if I did this right. But yeah, there you go. So the key turns and stops. Turns and stops. And the pin should also turn and stop. So that one little notch in the spring, I'll show you right here on the old spring, is this little notch. It has to be, these notches have to be braced against something inside the cylinder, or what will happen, the spring will just keep turning. So that prevents the spring from turning and turning. And that's it. I bought my repair kit, I think well, I bought it online for about $30. They range from $25 to $30 to $40 for the repair kit. And I think in my first two videos I mentioned I took it to the dealership. They wanted to replace everything but my door, my entire door, to fix this. Also, when you're done, in my previous videos I showed you guys taking the pin out. Remember to put this pin back in to complete your project, because this pin actually keeps everything from popping out. Just give that a firm tap. Hopefully this will work. Like I said, with these projects, I don't know if it works until I put it in the car, lock the car, and try to open it with the key. But I think it should work because it looked exactly like it did before I took all the old pieces out. And that's it. That is the door repair project of the Tumbler lock and pin. And you don't have to replace the entire thing. You just have to replace these components for about $30. It took me about the time of this video. The first two videos took a long time because I didn't know what I was doing. I did a little bit more research this time, so I knew what I was doing. So it takes you about 30 minutes to do it yourself. All you really need is the pliers to help you pull stuff out and push stuff back in. Flat nose screwdrivers is the only tools I've used, and BMW key has to stay in the lock at all times just to help keep everything together, or it'll just keep falling apart. Let me just go actually take this to the car. Let's see before I go. So this is the car door. I'm gonna try to pop this inside the door. I don't know if you could see, but it's, try to focus this video. It's, you probably can't, but just put that back on there like that. I don't want to lock the door. And I'm gonna put the Allen screw back in there, and that should be it.